house episode today. Hopefully, this internet holds up. Setting up your meeting for YouTube while this episode is done. Redirecting to YouTube. Okay, we are live.
Woo. Welcome to Poka Reads. I don't know what number this is, but yeah, we're reading, and this time we've read a book by M.L. Wang, Blood Over Bright Haven, and we're going to talk about it using the usual Poka reading system. Jesse will take us through it, and we will share our thoughts on how much we loved or did not love this book. So just take us away.
Uh, just give me a second
Okay.
while I do this. Okay. Sorry, guys.
Things to say about the book while we're waiting for you. There's just
Yeah.
a lot happening in the book that I was not happy with.
So already unhappy things.
I mean, there are some
Hi,
happy
guys.
things, but there are lots of unhappy things too. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay, we're live. Welcome once again to another Poka Reads. Poka Reads, we're supposed to have this in June, but we're having it in July, same thing. So
Just a week later.
just pick up the month. Is Blood Over Bright Haven by one of my new favorite authors. I read one of her books and I fell in love, and then I looked for this, read it. And now she can have my debit card, but whenever she releases a book, debit and then send me the book.
Indeed.
That's how much of a fan I am. But this book, I guess we can a summary of the book, and then we can go into the actual discussion.
Okay.
Spoiler review if you want to read it. And if you do want to read it, I think that you should go read it and then come and watch the review, because it's better to go in blind and be surprised than to go in spoilers. So a summary, it's a fantasy. I want to say dark academia because it's set in a university setting, but more like postgrad. So there's a society, there's magic is used for everything. And Sayona, our main girl, she's qualified to be a high mage, and she's the only woman and the first woman, I think, in all of
It
Yeah.
history
seems like she was the
fall
first
into
woman.
this prestigious society of high mages, and she discovers a secret that almost drives her insane.
It
So
did
let's
drive her
get
insane.
It does drive her insane.
Okay, our Poka rating system. We have six, I guess, sub themes,
Categories, yeah.
and then our final 5-star rating. So the first is plot, then characters, themes, cultural relevance, and then prose. So let's get into the plot. What did we think about the plot? Who wants to go first?
Ending is part of plot, right? Let me just be sure where I'm putting
Go straight
this
for it.
grievance, because I think it was a good plot. Like, it had a great premise, she filled it out really well. But that ending, like, so that's what takes away from the plot. I feel like there's so much you could have done with the ending to make it more, I don't know, redeeming. And
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for happy endings, but it didn't necessarily need to have a happy ending. It would just have been a more redeeming ending. That's all. So yeah, the plot it was a good plot, straightforward, but the ending took it away from me. So
Yeah, I think it was a great plot. I'm also a big happy ever after person. Like, it doesn't matter the genre I'm reading, there has to be, like, the end has to be fulfilling and satisfying to an extent. So it usually helps if people are alive at the end. Like that's just me, I'm not
Exactly.
maybe I'm fussy. I kind of like the characters
Especially
living at the end of my
the
books.
main characters. Can
Main
they live,
characters, I'm
please?
a stickler for living main characters at
Yeah.
the end of my books,
Next time,
generally.
we'll beg to differ.
I know, but it was a great plot. I love the world, and generally, I like when fantasy people writing fantasy don't spend so much time building the world for me. Like, I think it's nice when somebody writes a book and it's clear that they're assuming you're smart. So they're not trying to explain too much to you and saying, oh, mages do this and this is what the magic does. No, just chuck me into the world. Yeah, this is Emma Wang's
Yes.
own shade
Big.
for her first book.
Oh, why her first book did not
The Sword
explain
of
anything?
Kaiden.
I loved her
I'm
Facebook,
struggling through it
but I can
Oh,
understand. I actually
it's
prefer
like
her Facebook to
to this
this.
one. I love this one so much. Emma Wang, the first book, I'm still like 20% through, which is a big, like, it's great progress considering how much I've struggled to. I'm like, just get to the story. Stop telling me the history of the families and just chuck me in and
get
trust
to
that
it.
I'll be fine. And she did this
That's
for
so
this one, which
funny.
made me really
I
enjoy
will
the plot.
say that book has a satisfying ending.
Maybe I'll get back into it now that
So
I know she's a good writer.
basically she decided that one book will have a good ending and the other one will just like
I
the one
didn't say
with
good
the
end because that book, it seemed like she was writing a series the way she set it up, but the
And she's
story
not.
ends. But she's building this
Hmm.
world where you think like more could happen, but the actual
Maybe she
story
will probably
ends.
write
And it
standalone
has a
books in that
satisfying,
same.
maybe that
Oh
would be
well.
nice. And one of my favorite characters, like she's written one of my favorite characters, Misaki. Love
I like
her.
Misaki. The
So
temperament of
She's
her
basically
is
really
choose between a good ending and understanding the book. Is that what was happening? You had to choose one.
it seems like it. But plot wise, yeah, I'm happy with it. I enjoy Blood of a Bridehaven so much. Blood of a Bridehaven, as an Ashanti, this is a test for me. Blood
In
of
what
a
way?
Bridehaven. Emma Wang is doing a
Oh,
lot.
the L. Oh my goodness.
And this is where I take
You're right.
obsession to the culture of it because she's not thinking about me as an Ashanti woman, but writing this book.
How's she supposed to know? How is she supposed to know?
No, it's not inclusive, clearly.
But she's
It's not
Asian too,
inclusive.
and I think the Chinese
And
or
the
They
Asians
Japanese
have that.
also
have
have,
that problem
yeah,
as
they have the
well.
L.
She should have thought about us when she was naming this book.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the plot. I like that she built these like really big fantastical worlds, and then the story is just like such a personal story,
Mm-hmm.
Why?
and like a
For you?
backdrop, not for me, but
That's a high
Oh,
mage
okay.
herself. Jessie feels this very
I was
personally.
I
confused
do
personally.
actually. I do. I think about this book at least once a week. Like this book has stayed with
God.
me. And I think that's
Mm.
why that's why I like it so much. I think when we get into the themes, we can talk about that. But this book, love it. The characters I didn't really like so much, but the themes and the story, I actually cried a little at the end, and I highlighted
I did.
Jesse
telling
cried.
you.
Wow.
I
I'm
and
trying to popular believe her tear glance work.
I know. No one should come for her flowers because Jesse.
I'm a softie, you guys. Big softie. You can ask Ginny. Ginny is Jinx.
Jenny is
My,
Jinx. I
my
thought
auntie
so.
calls her Ginny.
Why? She
Let's
can't
call
say
for Jinx.
jinx.
She, actually, I don't know. Can't remember Jinx's name. All right. So
Oh.
let's move on to the next one, which is characters. So the book has, I guess, two main characters and there are lots and lots of side characters. Which
Mhm.
characters did we like? Which characters did we not like so much? What do we think of those
Hmm.
men in the high mage society or whatever? Archmage Brigand, is that his name? Brigand.
I thought it
What
was
did we think of him?
Brigham.
Because
Maybe
it
I'm
was
mixing it up.
Brigham
I
was doing
thought.
too much.
The one that brought her
Like
into
father
the
figure
high.
and
Yes. Like,
honestly, I don't like what is more.
in
I
fact, I
ideally
thought he was a bit more sinister. Like, I remember asking Jesse, I suspect this guy, he's not what he seems. He was he was
like
too a bank killer.
she should have given us because we didn't figure out is it that he was just strange or he was bad or he was actually good. Like it was just all over the place because especially in the end when he was sad and that Sayona had destroyed the whole place and I was like, what's the specific reason for his sadness? See,
This is
sad
his
about the
protege.
people that it was so confusing. His character, I liked his character in the beginning, especially because the girl did not have a proper father figure. But like in the end, I was so confused. Like, what is going on with this? And I think that's one thing. She didn't put I don't know if ML1 wanted I don't know what she had in mind when she was writing the specific characters, but she didn't put effort into making us like characters. Because I feel like
Even
beyond
Sayona.
this yeah, even Sayona, like I don't feel I like her that much. Like she's so selfish. And like Tomo I liked and Tomo's daughter who was so impulsive, like there were few people to be liked in the book.
I like Sayona's aunt.
I did like Sayona's aunt and her cousin.
And her cousin.
Same.
Her aunt
Yeah.
was is so loving. Her cousin is so
Oh,
loving. They
so
put their
Yeah,
sweet.
I
lives
liked her aunt and her
for her.
cousin.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there weren't many lovable people in the when
And
I
the
in the
baker boy.
beginning when she talked about
Oh, the poor
the
baker boy. Yes.
yeah,
So
like
who's
when
in
she
love with
talked about
Sayona?
this person, one of the archmage's sons who was first person to try that. Like I
Number
assumed
10.
that
He was like
oh
the 10th in line in his family or something, like the 10th son
yes,
of
that
somebody.
he's the one that in the end ended up being the last mage, right?
Yes,
That
he
did
becomes the
die.
archmage in the end by
I
default.
really I really assumed that at least we would hear much about this boy in the book. We only heard about him that Thursday, and then beyond that, it was that last day when he did that. Like, it was very, I feel like character wise, she could have done more,
I think it started,
otherwise.
yeah, I thought it was going to go one way and then it went a totally different way. I thought it was going to be about her struggle as a woman in this society,
Yeah.
clearly misogynistic, and even her first day, the way they treated her, and she's better than all of them. And it
Yeah.
just took a left turn and then went into actual existential
Yeah, and I
crisis.
think that kind of like I thought in the beginning as well that this was going to be about her figuring out how she fits in this misogynistic workplace. So it was more of a workplace
Exactly.
story for me than a university academia.
Mhm.
It's more of a workplace thing. But then I was thinking to myself, what is she going to bring to this workplace that will make her stand out? This research that she's doing. I didn't love that it became existential. Like I'd have liked it if it was just a small person in the small part of the universe going through her small thing. Because it's like reading a
Mhm.
book and the world's coming to an end. Like we're living in normal contemporary world times. And it's like 9/11 happening. It's like too much for my brain. I just wanted a small thing happening in the corner that's affecting her life and the people around her. But this wasn't destroying the world in a sense.
Yeah.
So I
This
guess
was
it makes sense
overwhelming.
that she had her brain broke
Yes.
and she was almost
Yeah.
committed because anyone will
Honestly, I texted
there's
Jessie and I was like, is she going to be taken to an asylum? What is wrong with this girl?
That's
yeah.
why it's triggered so much women's health issues for me because I was just like,
Yeah.
women are just hysterical. Like you're considered hysterical when you have any reaction.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the minute somebody thinks that you might be out of your mind, it becomes a catch
All your
22.
options are taken
Yeah.
away.
Like
Yeah.
Everything.
you if you try to be too smart, they'll say, oh, you're pretending because you actually are crazy. If you try to be normal or like act crazy, like how we knew it, you're crazy. It's almost like you can't win. So I like that
Yeah.
she puts like sat on the ledge and it's like, I will kill myself and it'll be on your career. She took a
Yeah.
sensible approach. So now he's forced to listen because he can't have a dead mage on his hands as
Yeah.
an alchemist. So like was his career on the
As
line?
and the third
The
person to
fair
die,
his
Yeah.
career was not looking good. And I thought that was a smart way for her to get herself heard and actually have somebody to bounce ideas off of and make sense of the thing.
What about Tomil? What did we think about him?
Tamil.
I like Tomo.
Oh,
I
Tomo,
I
I like.
really
Sorry,
you
go
don't
on,
like him?
Elise. Oh, I like Tomo. I just
I
feel bad for
I
him.
started I
Yeah,
actually I think I like him better than Sayona, I will say.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I felt a little bit bad because like look, I just knew it wasn't going to happen. I knew it. I knew that
I thought it
this
would.
He's
love
gonna
affair
sleep with
was
you.
it's not going to happen. So I
So
felt
all
a
they
little
got was a
bad. I just when I
kiss.
was reading.
My girl was a kiss, and now it wasn't a goodbye kiss. Oh God.
Oh my God.
It
Oh,
wasn't like the beginning of a
I
relationship.
really liked him. And like not many people, I guess he had to learn it to be able to survive. But not many people are good at learning, being able to live in, how do I put it, to make themselves small in the world so that, but we've just never been put into a situation where we have to do that to survive. I mean, being Black sometimes feels that way because you have to, you know, you can't, it's just weird. It's just, I won't say that you're doing it to survive. I can't be that dramatic, but it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
like you can't be out there the way because
Mm-hmm.
people have in mind that every Black woman is assertive. When you're being assertive, they think that you're being an angry Black woman, that kind of thing. But being put in a situation where to be able to survive, you have to make yourself very small, must be very, very difficult. So, like, I like the way
Actually
that he
reminds
handled
me.
that. Like, you know,
It seemed like he
it
was actually
was,
also really strong. She didn't explain
yes.
Tomel's and like Samson level strength,
Okay, well, she did say he was a hunter before. Like, I feel like that's kind of
but
like I'm
it's
expecting you
because
to be
when
strong
he
enough.
punched the guy out, he completely was out for hours, and he
Yes.
seemed
Yeah,
to really get to him really quickly in a strange way, which then goes to your
yeah,
point, Elise, that he had to. There was a lot for him to keep in a box. He wasn't just a regular person. He was probably the best of his tribe, a hunter, a strong person, on the way probably
A
to
father
leading
figure.
his a father figure, on the way to leading, and he had to enter this new world where he was nobody. Almost like when somebody
hmm,
is really like comfortable in their country and then they travel to the US or to the UK and maybe they have to be a cleaner to survive. And it's like, in my house, I'm a
exactly.
king. And you know,
When you're changing a car
I
tire
get
and
served
you're
food
just
on a
thinking in
tray.
your
on a
house,
tray.
in my father's house, I don't have
Ah,
to be changing my own car. Oh my God.
Ah, oh my God.
Ah,
I feel
That
so
yeah,
must be
hard for
hard.
Tomo.
That's
Hmm.
that's
yeah,
that's crazy. And then Tomel's niece, what's her name? I forget. Freya?
I think it was Freya.
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 yeah, Freya.
She was a bit of
I,
Freya.
a cat, isn't she? She was
Yeah. A
um
lot.
but I mean, can you
she
blame
has to
her?
be a lot.
Growing up hearing
She has
about
to,
her parents' death and like just
exactly.
brainwashing, but being told these people are the bad people and they killed you and killed your people, she's going to be very
Yeah.
radical.
Yeah. She was definitely
Yeah,
radicalized.
yeah. And
And like
I think you're
very
right. It makes
cute and
sense.
quirky.
In the end, when she was crying and she was wondering why she was crying, that was hilarious to me. I was like, she
Bless
didn't
her.
understand why there were tears. Oh goodness. Like this
So,
was funny.
character development. I think Serena had character development. She started off very, very selfish, self-centered, only thought of herself.
Yeah.
Not in a bad
She was
way.
so selfish in the end.
She I mean she died.
Her selfishness evolved, I
I
think.
guess selfishness evolved
I
is
know,
a
okay,
better
do you
way.
know what? I
She
would
But
had
she
have to
was
character.
still
discuss
very
that at some
selfish.
point because was it selfish? What was she because knowing that her decisions were going to make the world implode, would they have been selfless to
Mhm.
not make those decisions? Was she
I
thinking more
think
about
she should have
herself and trying to
listened
expose
to
things?
I think you should have listened to Tomo, especially when he said that this is not going to harm your people, it's going to harm my people in the end. Do you get it? It was very selfish. Like she thought, oh, I know this. Like this is the solution for me. I'm helping you, and this is the best way. She was very,
Yeah.
I think she was self-centered, and even though in the end it ended up being a selfless act of death on her part, I think that she should have, I don't know, if she had actually developed, she should have gotten to a point where she listened to Tomo, to the Queen, like the Queen people, and said, okay, maybe this is what I should do. I feel like if she had given it more time, maybe she was rash. Was
Mm.
I mean, yeah, I agree. She was rash. And honestly, even
Mhm.
discussing the book is making me feel some of her anxiety all over again. Imagine discovering something like that would destroy the world, like
But
something that
even when you get a cup of tea, a warm cup of tea, someone had to die.
somebody's
But
Exactly.
like
you
your life
can't
will
live
never be
with
this.
this.
You can't. And it's like, I love tea. So how do I have tea now? Do I just never have
Taking
tea
the
again?
train, like anything
I'll
you
just
do,
walk
someone is
everywhere.
dying.
Do you think that's
Yes,
what
but then if she had
Greta, what's her name, Thunberg has discovered
Thunberg,
about about this climate change, climate
you
change
know,
commentary?
what what if it is?
It's
If
like
it
you
is.
become crazy. You go on a canoe everywhere. Like you just never blow dry your hair again. It's mind blowing.
Much as I
I know.
understand that it will take a lot from you, you will, especially if you ever have to deal with the actual technology, it you have to figure out a plan. And I feel like she was too brash in that. Very few decisions
Yeah.
in life end up being good decisions when they're not thought out. So, like if you don't sit down, make a proper plan, you might do something good, but then you end up, there will be regrets regardless. So I feel
I
like if she
think
had taken her time, planned it out well with Tomil, and maybe even her mentor would have come on board at some point. Like there are so many things that
I
Mhm.
don't think that was gonna
It's a
could
happen.
have.
man
I think
benefiting
the best
from the
her best bet was
society
actually leading a revolution with
evolution.
it's just
Yes.
it
Exactly.
Yeah. See,
was
I
a
thought
And
that's what's
her
gonna
aunt,
happen.
her
Marry
her
Tomel,
aunt and
adopt
daughter,
Freya, like
auntie.
a
Yeah,
cousin.
her aunt and cousin could have been of good help to her if she had explained the whole thing to them. Like, because it was so rash, she didn't even
and people
explain it
would
to
have she would have
anybody.
gotten
It was
followers
just,
of her,
She would have
yeah,
gotten
yeah.
followers for
of her
sure.
race. Yeah, she
Yeah.
would have gotten
Mhm.
followers because
Yeah,
lots
yeah,
of
you're
people
right. She was rash.
she was rushed.
Yeah.
But I think that perhaps her writing the character like that was intentional when I was reading it. And also because I've read her other book and I feel like I know that she likes to write about race relations. I think she wrote Sayona as a white
Yeah.
woman. So
Why her other
the,
books that have the different races?
they have different races,
Saki is
yeah.
Japanese, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
And there were times where white women didn't have rights and they couldn't vote, they had to be married, whatever. But in the grand scheme
Mhm.
of things, there were people who were enslaved. So yes, you were
You
forced to stay at
your
home
small boots.
and all of the things, but someone else is working in the farms and in the fields and being whipped.
Exactly.
So, and I think that um also the concept of white savior, because I felt like at a point it was a bit too on the nose, and Thomel will tell her that, listen, you're doing too much or something like that.
Exactly. Yes,
And
it was given very white savior
yes,
complex.
yeah. So I think maybe it was a little bit intentional to write it like that as a white woman.
Yeah,
It's a
I
white
Maybe.
woman.
see.
Maybe white savior
Oh, but
But
Emma
commentary.
like
Wang
again,
is not a white woman, is she?
she's not.
No.
She's not.
Okay.
She's not.
Mm,
Was there diversity in the characters? I like to think
no, it was just Quinn
They were all
heavy.
white.
Oh no,
I like to
they were
think that the
all white.
woman she killed when she was trying to test out the theory is black. The
I
one with
didn't
the
get
afro
black
black.
vibes
You
here.
didn't
I
walking
got
on the
that her
beach
hair
with
was
the
jet
brown
black.
skin.
It's her hair that was black, yeah.
Her hair
Because it
was
looked
black, but I
like
don't remember skin.
All the Quinn had copper hair, but this
Copper hair. So
person,
there's ginger.
This
No.
person is walking. I'm in my head. She's a West African
Oh
walking
God.
along
she,
the beaches
The
at
bridge.
Labadi with her black hair, just looking
bad,
cute.
it's only about it.
And all of a
Don't
sudden, the
worry.
portal
In the
opens
Netflix
or whatever it
adaptation,
is.
it'll be a black woman.
Just give it to Shonda Rhimes. She will
She'll take care
diversify
of
it
it.
for you.
Sayona will be black. Sayona herself will be
Shonda will
black. So,
diversify it for you.
and
Let me
then
let you know.
Summer will be a lesbian janitor.
She takes to that. Okay. All right. Should we move on to the themes?
Okay.
Um, what do we think about the themes? What was the book really about? What was she trying to say? Um,
Oppression. Oppressors
Oppression
rule.
on every level, race,
Yeah.
class.
Religion.
gender,
class.
religion,
Yeah,
the
religion. Yeah,
religious
that's right.
themes. So
Religion.
actually, in the beginning, I thought, could it be Christian? Because there was a part where when she was teaching Thomas, I know I was teaching Thomas the ways of like the magic.
Mhm.
He did something, and I think he didn't know what to call it. And Sayona said, "You get to call things by whatever name you want, and through magic, it becomes true." So he wrote a spell and didn't know what it was called. I think she said he can call it book, even though it wasn't book in the strict sense. And then she
Yeah.
says you can call things by whatever name you want, and through magic it becomes true. And that immediately made me think of decree a word and it shall be established.
And it shall be okay.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay. So I see that as clearly, obviously, the fact that they worship the deity was clearly a religious theme, but that specifically made me think of Christian themes of saying that you say the things that be not as though they were, and then they become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me think of white Europeans as well in Africa, bringing their religion and then
Mhm.
using their religion to oppress you because God
Right?
said you are bad and you are uncultured because that's what their religious text literally said. You're uncultured
Yeah.
and turns out they were just taking aspects of their culture and their practices and refining it and keeping it for themselves and saying you guys are this, you're bad,
The,
you're
the, the
animal,
savages.
you're savages,
Yeah. Mm.
wild.
And the fact that their words actually said that these people cannot be tried because, like, because they said that a queer woman cannot be raped, cannot be, like, she cannot be tried. Like, nobody can be tried
Yes, I
if
remember
they, like,
that.
rape you or beat you, or I just sort of feel like
That is
they really think
wild.
these people are animals.
Yeah.
Your life is actually worthless. And
It
it's
really
written
just giving
like God is telling them.
And it's
plantation
yeah, and it's
vibes.
text. And so everybody
Yeah.
who's doing it is in the right because they're
Yes. It
obeying
was it
written down
was
law and text.
giving very much plantation vibes.
Yeah, for
Oh.
Very
sure.
much that. Oh
For
my
sure.
goodness. Um, I colonialism vibes, religious vibes. At some point, it was even giving me animal abuse and vegan vibes. And this is where it hits me the most because as someone who loves animals, I know, and I don't like to think about it because I've said this several times. I've had pets, always had dogs, grew up with dogs. Um, I know dogs feel pain. I know animals feel
Yeah.
pain, and animals don't want to
Mhm.
die. I know
Mhm.
when I step on my cat's, mistakenly step on my cat's paw, like
You
I
Girl, are
Stephen
you
Jenny that you step on
abusing
your foot.
James?
when they're
Are you
ill, like they want to
abusing
get better.
James?
And when I'm eating
Yeah.
a product, I know an animal likely suffered for me to eat it. And I don't enjoy
Right.
it.
I
So
see what you
if
mean.
like someone suffered and died just so I can have breakfast, lunch, supper.
I don't know
And
about someone,
I mean,
something.
some
sentient being
some entity.
suffered. A living organism that does not want to be harmed, just like I don't want to be harmed,
Yeah.
suffered and died just so I can have milk for my tea and coffee, just so I can have protein.
I mean,
Um,
you don't have to die for your milk. So there's that.
At
For
least
your
milk dear.
cheese. Yeah. There's so
So I think
those now.
what we are saying is you can substitute on milk and cheese.
This. Let's get you vegetarian,
Eggs
darling.
as well.
But it's
Eggs
so
as
far
well.
removed from me. I'm sure if I lived near like factory farms and I lived on an actual farm and because you can't, you see those things they have in Accra, the point and kill. I could never do that. It's
Catfish.
just
Yeah.
so
Ooh,
wicked to
so
me
barbaric.
that I choose an animal to die. I choose a living
Like
fish
you are the one
swimming,
ending their life today.
and then you go
Oh my
slice it,
God.
grill it, and bring it to me, and I eat. I can't. I can't.
Imagine
So
going
you
to the
would
pig
rather
farm and
not
choosing the
see.
pig you want to roast
I
today.
don't
Wait,
see,
you
I don't want to have to think about it. Like, just bring me the
have
food.
you seen a chicken being killed
I
before?
have,
No.
and I did not eat it. For some reason,
Oh,
I see the animal alive, and then I see the
yeah,
process of
yeah,
I just
yeah,
can't.
yeah. Given American children, because I think they don't realize that what they get in the supermarkets come from the actual animals. So when they see it, they start
I think
crying.
Bless them.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's probably because I spent a lot of time with my grandma who had, I mean, they will kill the animals and eat the animals for sure,
Mhm.
except the dogs that were pets.
Mhm.
When you see
For
chickens
now.
walking around for now, you see, and then you're young, they're friendly, and then
Friendly.
Christmas time they kill the chickens. Oh, what chicken is this?
She
Don't
said
ask, don't
I
tell.
was walking around.
it's Anita. It's Anita. You one of the ones that were naming the chickens. It's Anita.
My
This one is
friend,
Anita.
my friend said he was training his sons to, learn the ways of life. So he bought pet goats. They kept the pet goats all year. His sons became friends with the goats. They named it, they
That's
played with
just
it, and then
that's
at
so evil.
Oh,
Christmas,
that's evil.
he killed the goat, made soup with it, and told them that that's your pet.
That's
That's
wicked.
evil. That's evil. Yeah.
I couldn't
He
do
should tell
that.
them that in our country we eat goats.
Oh no.
That's evil.
That's
I honestly, I wonder if this younger generation, if more of this younger generation are, I think more of this younger generation will be vegan and vegetarian compared to us. Because also for us, there weren't that many options for non-vegetarian, like
Mhm.
non-meat products.
Meat.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
but now there are so many other options.
Yeah.
True.
That's interesting. I don't
Oh,
think I've
that's
ever,
more of
I
my
don't think I will ever have an issue with, say, fish, like easily replenishable meat products. That's different.
Replenishable. By
Yes,
who?
by the animal, like the race itself. There's a reason why fish have eggs like that,
The catfish, they can
I think the
multiple.
point
hatch.
is that um they do not
Right?
want to die. They feel pain. Like
They
they
But we've
would
never
do
asked
feel
them before.
pain.
Maybe the catfish are happy to be point and kill for us. We don't know.
run away when you try to catch them. Like they try to swim
Only
away.
because I don't know if they're your friend, Bessie.
So I keep thinking, if I were there, will I treat it the way I treat animals now? Will I just like it's easy to
Like
think
Mm,
there's
that
always
no, I'll
been,
make a difference, I'll do this, and my mind will be broken. But like it's not close to me. I don't know any
uh,
of these people. I don't know any of these animals.
yeah.
When I start to think about
human life is a little different, isn't it?
Exactly. I feel
I
like even, I mean, there's no way anybody would pay me to be able to say, oh, let's kill a dog. You can't pay me for that, right? But so I'm gonna put a dog on the same level as chicken to eat. You get what I'm saying?
those very
And
cute
I feel
cows.
like there's always a hierarchical ways for like animals and people, like that kind of thing. In life, there will always be like a hierarchy. And it's like plants. Plants are also living things, right? We
They
cut
don't
them down
think
to eat them as
they don't
well.
think.
We don't
But
know that.
they don't complain. We
We've
don't
never
know.
looked into it. Apparently, when plants
Exactly.
are you're pulling plants, they expel some sort of like they
Gases.
expel some
Yeah.
gases to show that they are in distress. Vegetables don't want to be eaten,
Like
apparently.
that's the thing. So I feel like there will always be some kind of hierarchy in terms of 'cause the human race must continue and it has to be fed. So I
I
guess
think at
there
this
has
point
to be
we've
ways
continued
in
enough,
which
and we've continued
you're
enough.
right. But yeah. So I agree with you. Like you don't I don't know that I agree fully. Like I feel like once it's human beings, I would have a different feeling versus
But
if
they're
it was
so
an
far off.
animal.
You don't know them. You've never met them.
But they look like
Hmm.
me.
But I know there are
It doesn't
human beings
matter. It doesn't
dying.
matter
Maybe
that they're the
and the
same.
Holocaust
It doesn't
happened.
matter
We
that
all
they're not
died.
the same. But the color, all of those
And
things don't matter. But we all have the same structure.
yeah, but your basic necessities, like someone has to die
Mhm.
for you to have the things that make you comfortable. Are you willing to let go of those things for someone you don't know?
Uh,
Yes, I think so.
Especially when
I
your
think I
religion
would
like is
be.
telling you that you are the chosen people. Everybody else is really bad and
And
has
I'm
brainwashed
pretty sure it's part
them.
of why slavery and colonization lasted as long as they did. Because they didn't have to
Because
Exactly.
think of
they
Because
black people
humanize
people,
these
as
people.
like
Yeah.
them, yes.
yeah,
If you're
they didn't consider
dehumanizing them,
black
then you
people.
won't worry about inflicting pain on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I just saw
It's
something I
unfortunate.
highlighted here to demonstrate how misogynist the society is. Um, Renton smells sad slightly. You know, arrogance never made a woman more attractive.
I have that as well.
When I
Renton
came
was
out,
the word.
I'll let you know. Of course, you're right. Clearly, you've already manipulated the men you need to. Excuse me, please. We all know you how you persuaded Archmage Brigham. It's called Brigham. Yeah, people thought she was sleeping with her father figure just to get
And Ash
It's
I
made,
mean,
he
a
even
lot of
gave me
people,
flamboyant vibes.
yeah,
sneaky away.
he was given,
I
and
suppose the
I,
one of the class will be used to using her looks such as they are to cut corners. And this is something even in today's society women face. You get high enough and they think you slept your way to the top.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
But why is
And it's
someone
like,
giving you an opportunity that you have to sleep to get? But what if I
yeah, you
have
see,
get
the
it,
double
who am I
standards are
sleeping with?
there. Yeah,
it's
the double
ridiculous.
standards
And
are there. They'll never talk about why men are withholding positions to
until
only
you
get
give
to
them
people that
sex
they can sleep with them. But they will talk about the woman who had to, I wouldn't say had
to
to,
do
who
that to
did
get to the top.
sleep with them to get the job that she actually deserves, which is
In the
unfortunate.
wake of anybody who slept their way to the top are corrupt men that have sex with her.
Exactly. Corrupt
So
men that
why are we
withheld
discussing this
positions, corrupt men that withheld the
with all
positions
these
to
positions?
only give to people that would sleep to, with them.
Yeah.
Wild stuff. And it's so hard. I think that thing is so hard to defend because then you're being forced to discuss private things, whether it did or did not do. Like you can't
It
win.
shouldn't
The
even
minute
matter.
someone
Yes.
says it shouldn't even matter. The minute someone says it,
Yeah.
it's just it becomes like you can't even defend it.
Mhm.
If I did, if I didn't,
Unfortunately.
the conversation becomes derailed and there's no conversation again to be had because right now they put on you and uh, it's
Yeah.
rough. And that's
Yeah.
probably what most people were thinking about her because she was the first woman to be tried.
Yeah. But
Um,
they don't realize how much women, well, I guess in this context, we should also talk about Black people. Women and Black people have to do extra. Like, if your work is not extra, I remember this one time when somebody gave a presentation. I was so confused during the presentation. There wasn't, I don't know how to explain it, but like, there wasn't really a point of the presentation. Usually, when you give a presentation at the end, people should be able to say, okay, this is the work this person has done. This is what they're trying to say. There was none of that. At the end, I was quite confused. But I mean, they clapped for this person and all of that. And I remember one of my bosses privately looking at me and telling me, you can never give a presentation like that because you're a Black woman. If you were to ever try it, kind of questions people will
true.
ask you,
Mm-hmm.
True.
you would be
Yeah,
so discombobulated. But this person will get through with it because they're white. And they're a
that's
white
wild.
cisgendered male. So like
Yeah.
there's always the
That's
double
still up of the
standards of
hierarchy.
exactly you have to be extra no matter what to get to the point where, and it's not something they are willing to talk about. They don't want to talk about it, so they won't. So
Yeah.
unless
I wonder if you
it
have
relates to somebody they know. If it's, oh, their wife, their daughter, that's different. They'll tell you, oh, I'm married to a Black person. I'm married to, things like that. And then it's
Nanka,
like,
the token Black.
ah, yeah,
indeed.
So my friend tells me, I don't know if you face this, also something about just the shock and what does she call it? I forget. But when she gives a presentation, the presentation is good and it's like, oh, you did such a great job. Wow, amazing. The backhanded comments. And she's like, of course I did a great job. Like it's
yeah.
my
Like
job
somehow
to be great.
so it differs from what do we call it, audience to audience. Some people don't expect much more. So the bare minimum that you're able to show, like, to honestly, you know that you've done your best, you know you've done a good job, but they're so shocked that you were able to get this far. Like they're like, wow. And the worst is the English. Some people say you speak such good
Oh
English.
Oh
God.
my
Like
God, I
I
can't. I
have
hate that.
studied my whole life in
Look,
English.
I recently saw an email that I wrote maybe a couple of years ago when I was applying to law school in England, when they asked me to show proof of my proficiency in English. I was so confused. So I remember emailing them and saying, I live in an Anglophone country. All my instructions have been in English since I was born. Why do I still need to prove that I can speak English?
Yeah.
Like, I was so confused. Some of my mates have been doing it for all these years with the IELTS or whatever. And
I have like
Yeah.
I
God,
would never I promised myself never to do that. When I was applying for
I
masters,
you
I
have
actually
to
sent an email to them. I refused to do it because I
sit
asked for
down there.
well, I did apply
I
to one
guess that
and they didn't
if you
ask
get to
for
an
it.
institution where they don't require it, that's cool. Like
I'm like, I
currently
come from
with
a
the medical
Commonwealth
exam
country,
time, I have to
Anglophone.
interview with a fake patient to show that I can take care of patients in English.
No,
Because of
It's
the,
so
of
that's
the tree you
fine.
wild.
used to
I'll do
learn.
that, but I
It's so
refuse to
wild
pay
to me.
you to certify
I have to
me.
pay to
Tell
do
me,
that. I
I
have to
paid you
pay to
in
do
blood
that.
400 years ago.
It's
TOEFL
five
and
hundred dollars.
physical, IELTS.
IELTS and
It's $500 for
guessing.
me to go and sit behind the computer and say and write, look at a patient's chart and say, okay, this is what the patient has. This is what I.
It's not testing your
It's
medical knowledge, it's testing
The
your
no, it's testing that I
University of
can
Ghana
speak
Language
to the
Center will give you.
patient in English.
They'll give you a
It's
letter, and I ask for that letter. The letter just says, and you don't even have to go to school in University of Ghana because at the time I hadn't.
it's crazy.
Telling them that you did you studied complex courses like elective math, science in English. You're good. And then
test
I
once
have
you're
to
going to
send that
explain
letter and it's
this.
fine.
It's insane, but yeah, it's expected of
It's
us.
insane. Oh my goodness. Anyway, back to Blood over Brighthaven. Something else
Yeah.
I highlighted that reminded me of the Brits and their museums.
Wait, hold on.
Camille
Before you
says,
get to that,
okay,
the language thing, remember when Tomo said that he should have brought up Freya in such a way that she doesn't speak her native language so that she would have a better chance as queen in in the land.
my heart. It
That broke
broke
my
my heart
heart.
so
But I
much.
And
understood him.
it happens a lot.
Yeah.
It happens a lot. It's like
I
when
don't know
people
if we
said that,
have the exact, I mean, some
I
most
don't know, I
people
don't
were
think it's
literally
the
dying from
same.
blight.
Yeah,
There's like more to fear from him. But
yeah,
you're right, it does happen. People are changing their children's names and are refusing to let them speak.
yeah.
Just last week, I was discussing with my parents how growing up, speaking a local language was vernacular. And apparently,
Yes.
vernacular just means a forbidden thing.
Oh, I
And
didn't know
then
that.
they'll punish somebody. What's the other they do? They're speaking vernacular.
Names of vernacular speakers.
Imagine being punished for speaking your language in your own country.
That's
And that's
wild.
how they get you. They turn all of us against our culture. And now we're
Yeah.
struggling to try and bring it back. We're clawing, trying to
Even,
bring our culture back.
yeah. At least if you remember this, I don't know if it was just maybe the circles I was in tech. But when you do a course like a can, it's like you're looked down upon. But when you do
Yes,
English, it's fine. French,
people think that
everything
there's
is
something
fine.
wrong.
A can, like, why are you doing a can? Like, people are looking at you so strange.
Oh God, that breaks
Hmm.
my heart. But
That's
then, I
it's
mean,
crazy.
on
It's really
Tomel's
sad.
part, understood.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Anyway, the
Hmm.
quotes. Did the Queen have a word for that? Taking ancestral items from people who aren't dead. It's called stealing. ML Wang.
ML,
Why?
ML, ML is coming for everybody.
Why are you coming for the
She said, she
Brits?
said, return Blasto.
Wild, wild.
Okay. So the themes we have religious themes. What else did we talk about?
Um,
Col-
colonization.
Colonization. Yeah, all of that good stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
I just saw one of my quotes that made me laugh so hard. This is when she was talking to the alchemist, and he said, this is him, says, with a sad nod, with a sad and knowing nod. This is a classic example of how dangerous it is for females to have career and
No,
ambitions
I
like
remember
yours.
that. I remember that. I remember
Honestly.
that.
I burst out laughing. I was like, bro, I feel you. You women are dangerous.
You would not
Educate
survive
them.
this.
Honestly.
And speaking of, I like the additional touch that she added to actually show that Serena is not weak. She's actually very strong. Of the baker's brother, finding out
Mm.
the truth, and then it's just being so too much for him, and then he ended up killing
He killed
himself.
himself, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how bad this is.
Hmm.
Oh, it's just too
I think
heavy for
it
you know
tells
what?
you also that education does open up your mind. The baker's
Yeah,
brother
Yeah.
hadn't gone to school formally. He worked at the mall. And I think maybe Sayona having the tools to study and think through things logically probably helped her to break down the thing that would have broken her down. So I
yeah.
guess having an education made her mind a little more robust as well, despite her falling of being a woman.
Contrary to that, I feel like a lot of people uneducated, and when I say uneducated, I say it loosely to mean formal education, because there are
Mm-hmm.
lots of educated people who just haven't done
True.
university and like
Yeah,
masters,
yeah.
and things like that. I feel like a lot of them have a great resilience of mind, but people who have just sat down and gone to school in their mother's house and their father do not have.
True. True.
So I understand that, like, I think that Sayana as a person had a strength of
Had
mind and
that, yeah.
character, but like I feel like it would be wrong to attribute it to education, because honestly, a lot of people that I know that have mental fortitude are not people who have gone to formal
Formally educated.
education. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite
Yes.
quotes was between the two of them when she kept telling him that truth over delusion, growth over comfort. And I thought it was
Mm,
such a wonderful way. Even in my personal life, and I've had issues with some religious texts of my
yeah.
religion. And I think like don't bury your head in the sand and think take everything hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes just look, search some more. I remember when I had questions as a kid. I don't remember who told me this, whether it was Sunday school or I don't remember. But I was told that you don't ask questions, you take things as they are. You ask too many questions and
That
I
was
don't know, like
a
God
frightened
is like
adult.
that, blah, blah, blah. And there are truly some texts in the Bible that make me uncomfortable and make me question things.
Yeah.
No matter how I try to, so I believe, and I say this to you all the time, Najwa, that the Bible is a telling of the story of a certain group of people. And I'll take it for what it is. It contains the word of God. God has spoken to some people. That's fine. But also it's quite subjective. You're telling your story. You're the hero in your story. Because I refuse to believe that there's a chosen people and everybody outside of that is not chosen. I
But
refuse. That's propaganda I will not
wait,
fall.
didn't the Bible come and now, like, didn't isn't the reason why Jesus came was
It's
now
so
to
all of
come
us
and
are chosen
save
now. So
the, yeah,
Jews
so
and
now we're all
Gentiles.
chosen. Exactly.
Even then, even before Jesus, unless I believe that God didn't create these other people.
Yeah, so that the
I
Old Testament gives me pause a lot. I've been doing
Yes.
like a
yes.
Bible reading the entire year where I'm
Hmm.
reading the whole Bible. And every time I read the
So
Old Testament,
boring.
no, because I'm doing it in a certain way with a certain devotional, which kind of takes
Yeah.
different books at a time. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's not the boring just Genesis throughout. That would have been
No, I didn't
quite
say
a
boring. Oh, I said gory, gory.
oh
Like
right,
a
right,
lot of
right.
all the,
Oh
like, it's
yes,
really gory.
like I just read the book, the part
And
where
it's actually
something
quite interesting,
clubbers.
but like reading a
It's
story.
Hmm.
historical, yeah.
Yeah.
Where something
Yeah.
clubbers 30 men with the jawbone of a
Yes.
donkey just because he lost a bet. I was like, Samson, you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
Nobody
There's
asked you
so
to give them
much.
a riddle. They get a riddle and they're upset. And you kill everybody. And then this somebody that God
Mm.
chose. And it's like Samson seemed like he was physically strong, but mentally, I think he wasn't a
I
woman, you
mean,
know.
Delilah was able to dada him, so I mean,
So like I take your point, Jesse, that some of the especially some of the Old Testament before Christ, it makes you think about it like maybe God also went through a character development. There was a growth arc for God where he's like, I cannot continue this way. I need to send my son and then now be able to take on certain characteristics that make me a father to all and not just to specific people. So I think maybe that
yeah.
was his also his growth arc.
I
Because the
think
story of
so.
this, is it Joshua? I forget, the sun standing still.
That
Whose
was
story?
Mhm.
Moses. His hands
Was
Moses.
went up.
I think
He
it's
held his
Moses. No, they
Like
were
when he
killing.
Moses
was,
and
They
whenever
were
Joshua.
at
he would put
war.
his hand
No, they were
down.
at war, and then they were killing all these people, and then the sun started to set, and he prayed, and then the sun stood still so that they could
Mhm.
finish the job. And I'm like, oh my God.
With the other people. Well,
But
you know,
also,
like
there's this.
Created by God. My ancestors in Africa back in the day, like all you're telling
So
me, they came from somewhere
it's
else.
like
And the God
it's like saying that.
created you guys, then I'll believe that. Because then that's your story. But if I'm
So
to
wait,
believe
it's like God didn't create the other people.
created everybody and then decided to other one group,
some people, it
because
seems a bit
yeah,
harsh.
Mhm.
it is. And
Wait, so
my
then don't you ask if why black people were othered in the slave trade? Like, it's There's also that. It wasn't God that
But
did it.
that's not religious. I guess that's just being human. Humans are bad.
I guess
That's
But
what
if
the
not
it's
Bible
God.
is
religious,
telling
God
you.
didn't say, but the white people did say that God has chosen them, though, and they're the
Exactly.
ones to bring
That's
that
my
good
point.
news to
I
us.
feel like a
it
lot
said
of
that
these
maybe in
things
the
are
text.
human nature. A lot of these things
But
are
it's not in
rooted
the
in
text.
human
If it's
nature.
in my religious text and I'm supposed to believe my religious text, that's different. If you're
Mhm.
saying you're God's chosen people, that's fine. I mean, I can say whatever I want to say. I think a
Yeah.
lot of things about Black people that I will not say here. I think we're amazing. Like someone will disagree. That's fine. But if it's in religious text, I'm supposed to believe and supposed to you
I'm
know,
here to.
it's a little bit different. And but I understand it's someone writing their story.
Yeah.
And maybe if
I
the
think for that.
Philistines and
If
things like
my
that
people
also
wrote
wrote.
their story, it would be different. And if those stories were chosen and put in the Bible, it will probably be different. So
Probably, yeah. You have a
and
different
And I
experience of
think
God.
over
when
delusion.
people say the whole don't question God, I don't agree. There's so many times when I've asked God questions, and because I don't understand, and there's no way that you'll have a father figure in your life. Like God is my father. There's no way I'll be so close to that ask the questions. Like when people say that thing, I get really confused, and I
Yeah,
think that one of the
absolutely.
things
You have to be able to ask God
that's
questions.
yeah, one of the things I'm lucky about, like I'm blessed that my dad is a pastor. I mean, growing up, he wasn't a pastor. But he's always been a religious. Was an elder, things like that. And I said, sometimes we come from church, and all that the pastor said, like I didn't agree. So I'm like debating it with my dad, and that's something I should be able to do with God. And
100%.
and I feel like part of
Yeah.
the reason why I'm still Christian is because I was able to ask those questions and get answers to them. Because if I didn't understand, I'll just have let it go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess. Let me see if there are any texts that.
That you
Oh, and the
highlighted.
Queen were such a forward-thinking society. Also reminds me again of Africa.
In
And
what way?
but the fact that we had, because the patriarchy was something, I say this as a frafra we're actually very patriarchal. But as like an African culture as a whole, not just even in my culture, like women worked, women will paint the houses and had the designs of the mud houses and things like that. Women, my grandmother, I always say, very industrious business woman. and and then we were introduced to this concept of woman bad, woman weak, man big, strong, man must take care of. And but women were farming, women
Yeah.
were going to the market, and even now, there are more women in the market, women are trading, women are taking care of their families. And in the society, I forget the name of, in the Queen, it was women that I guess were magicians.
Where the spell,
The
the
Had
mages.
spell,
spells, they were the
spell me,
mages.
yeah.
And then what's the name of Sayona's the Bright Haven? What's
Oh,
the name of the society?
the town, I forget.
I thought it's called Terran.
The T.
Terran?
It starts with a T,
Tehran,
yeah.
yes.
Terran. It's
Tehran,
Terran.
Tehran.
Yeah.
Kind
Or
of like
I
Tehran.
Earth.
actually thought it was like Tehran,
Tehran.
like Iran. Like, Tehran is in Iran.
Ah, yes,
Oh,
yes.
Tehran
that's
is in
actually what I
Iran.
thought it
But
was
I
initially.
got like Terran, like Earth, because Terra or Terre is like French
Oh,
for
right.
Earth.
Yeah.
And it was French and
Yeah,
Spanish.
but it was Tiran, right?
Yeah.
Am I spelling it right? I can't remember. Yeah, it was Tiran, Tehran Basin. The way they were
Yes,
pronouncing it
T-I.
was like
Yeah.
Tehran. I
Women
was like, okay.
healers, in back in the day, women were
Oh, I like that
now,
so much. And I think they passed down the magic to the woman's line.
yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And they
So
wouldn't they
so
wouldn't
the
teach. So if you're
one,
a man, you only learn it if you're weak and you can't go out
if
and
you're
fight
Close to
in
weak,
your
battle.
exactly.
mother.
Yes. So the one Tyrann,
Wild.
the one queen, half Tyrann guy was a very weak guy who
Yeah,
learned
yeah, I think he had like a
massive.
limp or something.
Yeah, couldn't go
Yeah,
out.
they said, yeah, he was sickly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wild stuff.
I thought that was a nice touch too. And like ML1. Do
But
you
I
write
think
about
honestly, in
America or the
societies
Chinese or
where
Japan?
women
She is.
are in charge, a lot like I feel like some man becomes drunk on power and decides to take all the power away from women. Honestly,
Yes.
that's how I feel. I feel like when women are in charge, it's like the power is just distributed everywhere. But when a man becomes in charge and becomes drunk on that power, then he decides, okay, and yeah, let's just take it away from it. So that's how it looks like.
Because imagine stealing a thing from women in the Queen, bringing it to your town, and then not allowing women to partake at all.
Exactly. Like, even if we say, okay, maybe there are fewer, but there's none. That's
None.
insane.
And I actually highlighted something where they said testing a woman is considered a waste of resources based on the fact that a woman has never passed. They only trust out a female hopeful every once in a while to prove their truism. And so like there was so much
Yeah.
pressure on Sayona to not fail because then
Yeah.
she'll be closing the door for
One of
other
the
women behind her.
statistics.
Representative of all
Exactly.
of the women,
Or they'll
but
say,
for a
oh,
man,
200
you're
women
only
have been
representing yourself.
yourself. And that
Exactly.
You,
tells you that
yeah,
Dr. Koji Agri was right. That when
yes.
you educate a
You
woman,
educate a woman, you educate a whole
educate
nation.
a
It is
nation
You know,
because
true.
I heard that recently by a white man, actually. Was it
what?
John? Someone saying if we want to end world hunger, just empower women. That's all there is to it.
Because
And it's the
women with
truth because they'll
children,
make
they
sure
will do everything to
everybody
feed
Yes.
them.
eats. They'll make sure everybody eats.
Christopher
Yeah.
Higgins. Yes, Christopher Higgins.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah. Okay, he's a Brit. I don't know. So
they'll gather
clever.
the men and hide them in a cage and allow the women to run things. Give us 5 years and we'll release the
Stop
men.
it.
Everything
God,
will be
give us
fine.
5 years. I
World
think
hunger will
I
be
think
gone,
I think we need them for
flourishing
a
world.
few. I don't know if we can survive 5 years without a few things from them. It's not that many. Just a few things I from
When we
them.
need them, we'll
And we,
go drag
we'll
them
go and
out.
collect them. We will trust them out and then we'll choose.
There's a movie like that. There's a movie like that. I haven't seen it, but I've seen a few
Really?
clips of
What's
it.
it called? That's so
I
funny.
forget. I'll look for it after this.
Well, the men are hidden away and they come out
The
every
men are
year
hidden
to service
and
the
then the women
women.
live in this like very cool civilization, and the men live in some.
Oh,
I think
Reggie.
women go to choose the men that they want.
You lucky one for the week or what?
Yeah.
That's
I'm sure the
hilarious.
men try to take over the society
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah. And another thing I highlighted, 3 months ago, when Sayuna didn't know anything personally, she would have said that people from beyond the barrier made things up all the time. They were ignorant and easily ruled by emotion and illusion. They didn't even worship the true God. But she knew Tomel. He was smart. He thought through his claims carefully, and he wasn't one for lying. Sayona.
Look at her development, her evolution happening right before
Character
our eyes.
development, please. Character development.
I guess this can be called character development. But and it happens to even the best of us. I guess you can call it that. Like sometimes you don't know a situation because you haven't. My sister moved to live in the US way before I did, and she used to talk about all these microaggressions, and I was like, you're just being sensitive. It's not that bad. She would walk into a shop and someone's following me. I'm like, just ignore that. And then I moved here and I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, some of the things you don't realize them until they actually happen to you or somebody that you know personally has to go to. This one time someone actually walked up to my husband and asked him, have you paid for what you bought? A random person, no, not a security man in the
That's a
shop, just a
security
random
man.
person. We are all in the shop together. And he
I'll
walked
call
up
the
to him
police
and asked
immediately.
him, oh, and my husband
Immediately. They're
very,
harassing me.
very calm. He's very quiet. That day he was so mad. He told the man that you know that my job can pay for everything that you bought. Like he was really mad
Good
that
for her.
day.
Oh, yeah.
So put
He
him in
was
his
really, really
place
upset.
because I bet you that he probably is unemployed. It's always the
See,
loudest
like
ones.
he was really annoyed. But yeah, like some of these things you don't realize it until you had to live through it or somebody close
Yeah.
to you lives through it. So
So
I
here's
agree. I
something.
think she did have some character development.
Yeah, these group of people are like this and that, and you believe it because you've never met someone from that group.
True.
And then you
Mm-hmm.
meet someone who will challenge your opinions and your internalized hate.
True, true. And I think
Like
it's a
Um,
people like
commentary on a lot of like world relationships with different groups in the world and how everybody is so much more nuanced than the one or two
And the
words used to describe
stereotypes
them
that we,
and the
yeah.
stereotype, exactly. And so
Mhm.
maybe you should have to be more open-minded about everybody and everything as much as possible
Being
until
Like,
you
open-minded is
can form an
hard.
informed. It is.
sorry?
Like being open-minded is hard. Like you have to have some experience to be like imagine someone who, let's say their whole family, they only have their mother and then they're all like maybe 10 boys. And they've been told over and over, women are hysterical, women are hysteric. Like, where are they going to get that open-mindedness unless they interact, like they go out of their way to, interact with other like it it takes a lot. Travel, money, it takes a lot to be able to say, okay, I'm
Friendships.
open-minded. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can segue into the next theme, which is cultural relevance. Maybe we can look at it from the angle of does it speak
Colonialism.
about issues? And I think so. It speaks
I
a
mean,
lot
yeah.
in real
Yeah.
life issues, challenges the dominant narrative of, I think the major thing I picked up on was the intersectionality of white women feminism,
Mm.
number one. And then colonialism and picking all of the good parts of your culture and then demonizing you and telling you your practices are bad, um, calling you certain words and names to create a narrative like witch doctors, um, when you're just a healer or a native doctor, a local doctor,
Yeah.
or a doctor full stop without an MD,
Mm.
I guess Western education. But witch doctor just it denotes like it's witch doctor. What I don't want to be treated by witch doctor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Savages and they even had human zoos. And all of these things are real. Like it's really crazy because I've seen pictures of human zoos by this guy that committed a genocide in the Congo, the
Yes,
Belgian.
him was who I was going to mention.
Yes.
Um, oh, it's
We
right there, right
And
here.
was
But
keeping
like
black people in cages
in
for like what
in
cages.
was going
human
on?
zoos, yeah. And then you would see the actual
Yeah.
pictures. I'm sure they're
There's
out
one
there.
like of a woman with a really huge bum,
Oh God.
like a black woman with a really huge. She was very shapely, which in today's world, her body would be coveted.
She would
But
be, yeah.
but because white women, I guess the women he's used to seeing are not shapely, this was an outlier.
Bad. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
she
stuff.
was probably writing a lot about Native American stuff, but I'm not Native American. I'm
Possibly.
I didn't even
American.
see it.
But she's American.
I
So I take it to
no,
be
but
African stuff.
why did
How
you
I
think she was Native American from
The
After
colonization
colonialism,
part.
yeah, and then because she's American, or perhaps
oh I
she
think
has
it's
agency
more
in
it's
writing
showing
about
more African colonialism and slavery versus because
but
the Native American thing was very anyway, you're right. They came and they just took their land. You're right.
Indeed.
They
They
and they
didn't
actually
teach
just
harbored
them.
came
them, they
in
told
to
them they were bad, they like
yes,
took away their
yes.
Their
They
entire
culture,
culture was
actually
evil.
savages.
yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or I guess any form of colonization in the
Yeah.
world actually
White
falls.
supremacy, I think, is also a commentary on white supremacy largely.
Yeah.
But I really like the white feminism thing is so real because no matter how much a white woman gets it, they can only get it so much
Yeah.
because they just don't have the same experiences as black women. And I guess the best they can be is allies, but to
Yeah.
fully, completely get it and like say that I too am experiencing the same thing as an African or black woman, it's just not true.
And I love it when they acknowledge, like the
Yeah.
allies, when they acknowledge the fact that I am privileged in this way and I don't experience this thing that you're experiencing, but I
Hmm.
sympathize with you and I do what I can to help. But the ones that think that, oh,
We're all
we're
the
in the
same.
same race, like,
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. And finally, the writing style and the prose. I know this is better than the Sword of Kaigen. The Sword of Kaigen
100%.
does too, but she still has
okay, I haven't read
which
that.
I saw here. You should read it at least, like 10 over 10 will recommend. Um, I saw that a bit in this book. She over explains and tries to make a point. And even in the interaction,
Sometimes, yeah. Just in a few bits, I caught that in just
yes,
a
like
few
yeah,
places.
like do you not get it? Okay, you get it in the next dialogue. Kamel will tell you exactly what he thinks and what I'm writing about.
Bless him.
Okay, maybe
And I have
criticism
no
for her first
complaints
book
because I was
was
just
that
like, I guess if I'm a white
Talk
man,
too
I'll
much.
probably eat too much. But I was like eating it up. I'm like, yes, tell them.
yeah.
He hates white women.
Maybe because you said that the first book you couldn't understand something, so maybe that was the critique for her first book, and so she decided
So
that in this
she
one
learns a
I
lesson.
will explain.
I think the first book, she spent like 10% of the book world building. Was it world building?
It was, in a sense, and also
Too
like
much. It was like,
reading
and then,
as the historical,
yeah.
the history books, and even here she did it small, but what she did was now she just put like excerpts of historical books at the beginning of every chapter.
Yeah.
So you can skip it or not, but you're not missing anything necessarily, although it
There's another
adds
book
to
that
the
I've seen
chapter.
that does that. Fourth Wing. Have you
Fourth
guys
Wing,
read
I was
the
gonna
Fourth Wing
say
series?
Fourth Wing
They
should
do
have
that
that as
as
well.
well.
I
Yeah.
love this, like diary entries of like historical
Mhm.
figures and things like that. We'll steal it now. I see that it saves you from having to do too much exposition. You
Yeah.
can leave it as, oh,
But
it's
those
just
books are good too.
found books, you know.
I really liked those. I read them and they were sort of like the Tyrannish Bible. So like
Yes.
Bible
Mm.
verses, this verse,
And in the
this.
end, she actually did like a sort of like a glossary, right? Vocab to know in Tyrannish, what's what this is what a mage is, this is
Yeah.
what a spell
And that's how she wrote the
is.
other book. So when I started, I kept going back
Oh,
to
I
the
see.
glossary. Like,
Right.
what's this? I see a word I don't know. I have to keep going. So it was a bit distracting in the beginning. Like,
Mm,
just
Yes.
new
And
words,
yeah,
new.
yeah, that was another thing that was distracting for me in the sort of kayaking. There's a lot of words that don't mean what you think they mean. Because usually you
Very
can grab
peculiar to
context
the book.
meanings.
Yes.
Yeah.
mm,
So that was also a bit much for me. But to her writing in this book, I like that it was third person, I think it was third person POV, like narrator POV. I
mhm.
like that. I prefer usually that everybody writes their own point of view,
Yes, I
but
wanted to hear Tomo's theory. I wanted to hear
some,
what's going on in Tomo's
but
mind.
in a sense, it was actually
We
more
saw it a bit
Sanyona's
when
point of
they.
view.
True.
It
Yeah.
was more
Yeah.
Sanyona's point of view. I'd have liked to see more of Tomil, but yeah, I
Mhm.
think we saw like because it was third person. If it had been first person, it would have been harder for me to read because when I read first person, I feel like I'm missing out on the thoughts of the other characters and I'm just seeing
Everybody,
everything through one
yeah.
person's lens. But I like that when I read,
Mhm.
I picked up, I saw immediately that, oh, she's referring to the characters by their name. So this is the third person saying this. So I'll be able to see things outside of the main character a little bit, which is really great writing. I like it. And I've always already said in the beginning, I like that she treats me, she respects me and my understanding of the English language and just like
Yeah.
says, here's the world, take it or leave it. And immediately like there's no part of the world that I didn't like have questions about. I understood the origin of the coin, of the tyrann, of their world and their god and everything. In fact, I actually saw what the blight was before I like before she made it clear. Immediately she saw the clearer vision. I was like, this is not heaven, this is not Garden of Eden, anything like that. This is just outside your wall. And that's how great
Mhm.
And
the writing
very
was.
unique that for some reason you can't source magic from this part, which
This
happens to map
uh-huh.
up with where your city is, but
Yes.
you can source it from somewhere else.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that the writing was great. I love fantasy like this. I love when people make up worlds and stories and yeah, so I absolutely enjoyed it and I think her writing was really good, even though some parts of it, like just you were saying, was a bit expositionary, but maybe it had to be done, Charlie.
She wants you to get the point. She's trying
Yes,
to make sure.
She wants you
yes.
to get the point.
Don't
So
misunderstand
let me make
this
you
is
smart.
exactly what I'm
Let me
Let me
saying.
make
make
you
it
a little
clear.
smart.
Yes.
And ordinarily, I don't like that, but I like that in this book. I was like, fine with me, fine with me. Okay. So generally,
Yeah.
what's our Poka rating for this? What's your rating?
Can you read the rating points again? Let me see what I'm
Okay,
given
so
here.
we have the plot, I guess how unique, original it is,
Okay.
um,
So plot.
characters, the themes, the cultural relevance, and then the prose and writing style.
Okay. Well, plots because of that ending, honestly. Plots,
The ending wasn't given.
characters.
I
Oh, the
wasn't given.
ending.
I
But we haven't
don't.
discussed the ending. Okay, that
Okay,
was in
let's
the
discuss
plot.
the
So let's
ending.
discuss the ending.
Girl,
What did you think
like
about that
why?
ending?
How many books have you seen that the main character is dying at the end? Why are you like
Game
this?
of Thrones,
Spoiler alert, Elise.
Ugh, that's a bit
Yo,
much,
no, George
please.
R. R. Martin is in a guild league of his own.
Also, who
Please.
was the main character in Game of
Ned Stark,
Thrones?
oh,
Ned
that's the
Stark.
thing. See, George
Ned
R. R.
Stark.
Martin, he has written five of those books, and each of those
But
books have a
and I guess
different
yeah,
like
each one had a
focus.
different main character. Yeah,
But the
But then
first
you do
one,
begin
the
the
Game
first one
of
thinking Ned
Thrones,
Stark is the
Ned
main
Stark
that
is
character.
the
Ned
main
is. You're
character.
right. You're
Ned
right.
Stark.
Because I was just
It
thinking it, and I
starts
was
in
like,
the
ah,
north. Like it's his
Yeah, and there's
story.
the king in the north. This is the leader of the
Yes.
north,
yeah,
the guardian. We all enter believing.
And the
George
way
R. R.
he
Martin
dies,
changed.
George is telling you that he's dead.
Yes, they cut his
Not
head.
coming back.
Like it
you're
wasn't some
right.
some
You're right.
poison, food poisoning. You can say, oh, he'll wake up. How do you
No,
attach a
chopped
severed
his head
head?
off. Like he's dead. Making a
Yeah.
Honestly,
statement.
that changed the way I look at main characters. George R. R. Martin has put a stop in movie
Please.
culture and book
George
culture.
R. R. Martin just, I don't know. Like, I was very upset about the same point.
I
Also, I think
was,
for George R. R. Martin, because you're right, the books all had different main people. So
yeah, and there
maybe
were
that's
enough
why
to
he's like,
focus
this
on.
one's not real. Yeah. This one, the only people that we knew were two.
Unless now we should
I
like
mean, we
Renton.
knew the other, we
Renton was
knew
the
the
only
other people,
surviving
but
mage, right?
No, no, he dies. It was the other
I mean,
guy that
who is
survived.
it was
The
the
one who's
boy,
the
the
number
man's
10.
nepotism
son.
guy?
Now,
Um,
The Jimmy
what was
Jimmy.
his
The
name?
Jimmy
I said Jimmy Jimmy.
So Shada Nim
oh, Renton was a
Ejimali.
nepotism guy
Not.
who
Renton,
had
no, so
Yeah, he was a
nepotism guy is
Nepo
the one
baby.
that they were
that
both
Nepo
survived.
Nepo
baby is the one
babies.
that lived.
Renton
But
is
most
Right.
of
also
the
a
mages were
Nepo
Nepo
baby.
babies, no? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to
Renton is
see
also a
who,
Nepo
what his
baby.
name was.
I forget his name, but yes, he
I'm
was
gonna
like the
go
one that
check.
they gave him a test during the trial. He messed it up, and Sayana
Yeah,
went and did it properly when it was her turn. But he still
yeah.
passed anyway because his father was one of the high mages or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the queen running away, leaving Tyrann. I'm like, where are you going? You're going to get killed again, you guys.
Yeah, because
But they went back
the
to their
the
homes.
but the magic system is still continuing, or
No,
because
it
It's just
stopped.
that
Remember
one
that their
mage.
she's
guns,
killed
Everybody
their
died.
everybody.
guns, yeah, their guns stopped working. And that's when, what's his name? Tomo was like, he had a theory for why the guns had stopped working. It meant that everybody in the room was dead by then. And so the magic thing had stopped working. So it wasn't siphoning. Because if it was, as soon as they entered their own land, but the blights would have caught like at least some of them.
True. So the blight was no longer there because they were siphoning as from a specific place just outside the wall, and that was what they were saving in the silo to use later. Hey,
Wait,
wild.
do you know the whole time we've been mentioning this girl's name
Who?
wrong? The niece,
Sayana.
she's not called Freya. She's called Kara. So who was Freya
Tara,
in the
who
book?
So
is Freya?
straightforward. No, I think we're thinking of Freynan. Freynan was like not a
Brennan is one of the
person.
founding fathers, I
I think
think.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
why
like
are
the
we
words of
calling this girl
Freynan.
Freya? I was so
No, Tara,
confused.
you're
She's called
right.
Kara.
Kara, very white.
Um,
Okay. I think the guy
yeah,
that did not die was called Mordra.
yes,
Yes, I think
yes.
yes. That's him. Modra the 10th.
Yeah, Mordra the 10.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like
Imagine.
he's like giving Jon Snow. He doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to be in
I
charge.
know.
But now you're all dead,
People have just
so
put it around his neck.
I
maybe
guess
he'll
Uh,
change
this is why
things.
they should make everybody a mage because she could not have killed the entire city.
yeah.
Because you have a select
Oh, group
few
of
high
people.
mages and only a select people practicing magic. Now your magic system is dead.
That's
And
true. So, but then
um,
the thing is,
And the
if
reason
Tyrone
why
had
you were
lived,
calling the girl Freya is the Sayona is called Sayona Freyna. She's
Uh-huh.
She's
So Frenan is
butchering all
her.
these
makes
Okay.
sense.
Sayonara
Karen,
herself.
Karen is the
Yeah.
founding father, actually,
Sharon
not
is a founding
Yeah.
father, but Frenan is
That's
Sayona's
so
last
funny.
name. And if
Yeah.
Sayona had lived, right, she could have been either the High Mage or been an Archmage. I think she could have been an Archmage with Modra and then change the
But
world system. If it means to go
but
back to
Auntie
hunting and
was just
what
gathering.
being rushed.
because
No,
the
she'll be a
tree
bit giant magic, you know. We'll go back to hunting and gathering with our bare hands.
Oh,
We'll
they'll
eat from the
figure out
land.
a way. I don't think she was smart. Like
yes,
I feel like
you
she
figure
was
it out
smart enough to
later.
have figured
Someone
out
They
how
get some, they
they
at
go
could
that
have
grow
used
moment,
dust
seeds in the
dust
ground,
to
water
make
it
it.
with their hands, pluck it and grind it and make pepper.
They could have made it such that dust is what is powering the trains. There's so
Yes.
many things they could
Or
have
maybe
done.
they'll discover electricity and like make it
because their magic
from
system is learned.
hydroelectric.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
it's not
system
you're not
exists. They
born
could
with
have
it. Like you learn it. So
you learn it.
someone could have
Yeah.
learned
Yeah.
it.
Maybe they'll
She could
start
have just
powering, like
slowly
you're saying,
poisoned
dust.
all the major. See, and but sometimes books make me think like I'm such a violent person because why am I thinking about poisoning all these people?
Yeah, I think Sayana took the wrong, she made the wrong decision.
Yeah,
Definitely made the wrong decision. She didn't have to kill herself. And it's so a bit full of herself to think that I have to die. Like, who are you?
to save
It's
everybody.
giving Thanos, like in like Thanos feeling like the weight of the world is on my shoulder and I have to
Yeah,
balance the weight. No, who has sent you? Nobody has called you to do
Someone has
anything.
to do it. I
And
volunteer
why it has
myself.
to be you?
some I volunteer as tribute.
As tribute, nobody has called you. Just let's work together and bring society to a better place. Not you decide on your own. Unilaterally that I will change the world, whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
Here's my change. Collect it. And if it works out,
exactly.
she will say now,
And I think that's what
those accused
her
in my
aunt
honor.
or aunt told her. She
My
self
husband, yeah,
about anyone. People had to put their lives on hold to take care of you, and you're only thinking
Yeah,
yeah,
about
so
yourself.
yeah, I feel like she won't think about anybody else. Her aunt and her cousin should have been the first thing on her
at
mind. This is your
least.
family.
And
It's all you have
the fact
left.
that she didn't even write a note to them. Like I wanted the part where they'll at least get to read the note that her mentor made her write by force, like
Right,
something,
yeah.
so that they don't go on thinking that she was bad. Like I really thought about that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the character arc, no, it's stalled at that point.
yeah.
It's giving Jamie Lannister.
Yes,
My
Jamie,
goodness.
you grow and then you stop. And you know about it. You go back to the growing, the aging. Oh, Jamie, we're not talking about
Man,
the last two
I
seasons
hadn't
of.
thought about that guy in forever.
That
Oh
character growth
wow.
was wild, amazing. Only to
And
just
Yeah.
it just did an about 10.
it didn't make sense.
I think that
Yeah.
the showrunners they hated Game of Thrones, like they had a passionate
Oh,
dislike for it, and said we are going to tank it because it doesn't make sense.
oh
Why?
goodness.
Someone like Jamie Lannister, he should not have become what he became, gone back to die with
Yeah.
Cersei after everything he has seen in the world and what he has fought for.
Cersei deserved worse. Jamie deserved better. I think better if he hadn't gone to be
He
stupid,
was
but
really bad
still.
in the
He was
beginning.
doing,
He
yeah,
killed a
Jamie was
boy.
bad.
He pushed someone down.
He
Like
didn't
that's
die.
the
He
Yeah.
just got
opening scene.
crippled.
That
And because of
oh.
that, he discovered his inner raven. So thank you, Jamie, is what I should be hearing.
Ah.
Honestly, the things he does for the world, unappreciated.
All right, all right. You mentioned
Okay, so you said plot, character. Oh
uh,
wait, sorry, what were you saying?
Nanaja mentioned earlier that you saw the twist coming before it came. The twist
Yes,
of I didn't see it and I was
where
shocked. I
the
had to
thing
put my
comes
pencil
from,
down for a bit, and I'm like,
The twist of what?
of
where
where
this the
Oh,
and what
siphoned
light
from.
actually is.
oh, I didn't see that either. I don't
I
think I
did
saw
see it
it coming.
coming. Yeah.
I saw it, and I was
And
like,
I had to take a
oh
breather.
God.
This
I didn't see it coming.
is
I
too
think the
much.
minute she opened that other mirror, that's like, no. Because before when it was fuzzy, I believed like everybody else that it's fuzzy. But the minute she made it clear, it became clear to me as well. I was like, this is not what it seems at
Oh,
all.
poor Camille.
I know,
I
right?
know.
The
So
moment
because of that, I was very confused
discovered
at
that,
that point
like,
when he
this
was
is blind,
running
and then he runs
and
away. I'm like, oh.
screaming. Yeah, I was so confused at that point. I was like, why is this guy screaming and running
And that's when
away?
I realized it.
Tunnel
When he
himself.
screamed, like, this is blight. Because the first scene of the book shows us what blight is and the
What blight
devastation
Blight,
is,
yeah.
yeah. And for
of
him,
blight.
blight is like the big scary thing that destroyed his family. It's a big
Yeah.
bad. And then just seeing blight casually in your office. Like,
And
did
to
you guys
someone
make the blight?
conjuring magic, siphoning power, and you're like, do you know what that
That's
is?
blight.
That killed my sister. That
That's
Yeah.
killed
crazy.
my village.
The whole
Oh,
it was just
Charlie.
him and Kara that made it,
Now
right?
we're left,
Ah,
It
yeah.
just killed
And even
everybody.
barely. Because
ah.
at that point when they got to the wall, that's the deepest part of the blight.
Yeah.
And they had killed all of their animals and their plants. So they had
And
nothing
so
to.
they couldn't even survive.
You have to
Oh,
run to this, I guess, this city that
an
you know
unknown place, yeah.
first, but at least it's better than dying. It's a heavy book for sure. So yeah, a final a rating, at least.
I so for should I give the individual things or just my over because the popular I'll say 3.5. Also that's
Okay, you
ending.
do the math. When you do the math and
Characters
divide by five.
character I feel like I'll give it a 4 because there weren't many like I like a book where I hate this I mean I hated there were people I hated Renton but like there were people that I wasn't sure do I like this person do I not like I like when it's like then I know the characters I like those I don't and those who are just in between this one was fuzzy on that so I'll give it a 4 overall I feel like maybe 4.25 thereabouts yeah in general. Wait, but I just
Yeah,
did
yeah.
thought and character. What other thing do I read?
Themes,
Themes,
cultural
Theme.
relevance.
Oh,
cultural
as for the
relevance.
themes here, there were multiple themes that were well explored. So I think, yeah, especially even like the religion part that initially I thought maybe they didn't explore it so much. They did because like they talked about how even the mages had different like religions. The what do we call it? And I think that was well explored also. So I think that for theme I can give her a 5. What do you say about that? Yeah, they explored
So all
multiple
together.
themes well. Altogether, I feel like a 4.25
Okay.
is my
Okay.
rating.
Cool, cool, cool. 4.25. I think I'm gonna go 4.5. She's losing a 0.5 because she killed Sayona off. She didn't. I think
Yes.
there were so many other ways to go about this, ML. So you and I need to have words. Let's leave it outside. Like there were so many other ways to go about this. But yeah, so that's my com. So 4.5.
I give it a 5.
I
Only because
guess as
if
Why
I'm
much
should you
going to
give
give
it a
it,
5?
if I'm going to break it down, it's each the plot. I like the
6
plot.
out
I
of 5.
think no.
And plot
Characters,
out
I'll
of
give
5. Let's
characters
see.
a 3 out of 5 because I didn't really, I mean, I didn't feel a connection to any of the
With
characters as
many of
much.
them. Yeah.
Tomo got some connections more at least.
Sayona,
Little bit.
but I do think she intentionally wrote Sayona that way. I
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
brash person. I feel like
yeah,
if she had gotten the character development we think she should have gotten, she wouldn't have done what she did, and the
it
book
would have
wouldn't have
definitely
ended the
taken more
way
than
it
1 to
did.
get that character development.
Exactly. Yeah.
I appreciate a standalone. I don't want to wait years and years and years for, but
Book
I'll
sometimes,
2,
wait.
book 3.
I'll
yeah.
wait for a happy ending, please. I will wait.
But also, don't take me through 5 books because a happy ending. Every book should have
I agree.
small happy ending.
I mean, I don't mind. If it's a happy ending, as long as it wraps up nicely, I'm okay. If everybody
Yeah.
likes it and it wraps up nicely, I'm okay with that.
The book
So
wraps up nicely.
characters, TV, even still a final rating of 5.
I don't know how you're going to manage that with your
We don't know
TV.
how you go to
I
this
don't
far
know how I'm
because are
going
you
to
giving
manage
something
that.
Your math is
7?
not
Are
mathing.
you are you giving something 7 and 9 or what?
And I
Unless
give it
out
a
of
5
5.
because how I give book ratings is I think if I had just finished reading it, I would have probably given it
Mhm,
a 4.5.
mhm,
But it has stayed with me for long. And I
mhm.
always a book that makes me feel something and a book that makes me keep
Yeah.
thinking about it. And I don't
Mm,
think about a lot of books. I think about this book all of the time. I think about The God of the Woods and um another book I read this year, The Will of the Many. I'll give it a 5 if I have to, even though like there are aspects that I wish I could change.
Mhm.
So to 5 for me. guys.
Such a shock.
All right, ma'am.
So then
Your
an average
vibe that was
of our three
conjured.
are shook. The average of our three ratings makes it a 4.58. So
Okay,
Okay.
the Poka rating for Blood of a Bride Haven is
is
4.58.
4.58.
All
All right, so
right.
if you are watching or listening, let us know what your rating is if you have read the book.
If you haven't, you should.
Yeah. So what's our next book, Elise?
Am I choosing our book?
Yes, you
Mhm.
are.
Oh, I did not know
Don't get
this.
drunk
Hold
on the
on. I
power.
did. Oh, what do we call? We talked
Archway
about
book.
this.
Night Bloom.
Peace. Yeah, Night Bloom. Peace. Adjomedes. Night Bloom.
Yeah. Night Bloom.
Yes,
Ghanaian
let's do
writer.
that.
Our
Yes.
pocket pick for July is Night Bloom by Peace Ajo Media.
Media.
Yay.
You can get it at
Yeah.
Akinkai, I think.
Yeah, they
Yes,
can
you
get that
can
second
get
kind
I think
if you're out of the country like I am. I got it off of Amazon.
Amazon.
So yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
Kill.
All right, guys.
All
Alrighty.
right.
This was
Thanks
a
for
great
listening. This was
discussion.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Join
Okay,
us in the
bye
morning.
until the next Poker
Yeah.
reads.
I
Bye,
think towards the end of
guys.
this month.